In the course of a football player's career, you'd be hard-pressed to find a player that hasn't faced adversity in some way, be it injury, heartache, personal struggle, the list goes on. For Davidson Jr. Harrison Hill, a late drive home turned his whole world upside down.
So during the accident, it was really cold from Cincinnati, so it was the March, it was pretty cold outside, snow on the ground, things like that. Late at night, coming home from a friend's birthday party, didn't really want to stay the night there, wanted to sleep in my own bed, that kind of thing. So driving back, something I normally do, I don't have any problems driving at night or anything like that, but I was just really tired. I'd been up all day long basically, and I'm driving back in the fast lane. I just started to doze off, and I started dozing off, but I'm 2 exits away from my house. So I'm oh, I can get home, I'm right there, it's not that bad. Crossing the bridge from North Kentucky to get back into Ohio, fall asleep.
Going just over the state's highway speed limit, Harrison veered into the grassy median and slammed into the embankment separating the north and southbound lanes.
I wake up and I had someone in my ear, he's standing to my left in the window. He's like, "Hey, are you all right? Do you need any help? Do you need any help?" And I'm waking up, my car's smoking, all my airbags are deployed, my windshield's busted, I'm wondering what's going on. I can't find my phone, or anything. I'm just very disoriented and out of it.
After passing out for a second time, Harrison regained consciousness and waited for emergency services and his mom to arrive.
Then they said, "Do you want EMS? Do you want to go in an ambulance?" And I said, "Nah, I think I'm okay." My neck was sore a little bit and my stomach hurt from the seatbelt because I was going probably 70 when I hit the embankment. But I said, "No, I think I'm okay." Mom took me home and I just went to sleep. So,
after trying to sleep it off, Harrison woke up the next morning tired and sore. To be expected. But his mom decided a trip to the hospital to get checked out wouldn't hurt.
They did a lot of tests for internal bleeding, stuff like that, and they were monitoring me for a few hours that day. And at the end of the day, the results came up negative. Didn't have any internal bleeding or anything of that nature. They said all my blood pressure and everything was fine, so they sent me home. And I just went home and just kind of went about my day, went about my weekend, and got ready for school on Monday.
Harrison went back to school as normal Monday, but before he was allowed to return to track practice, he had to be cleared. So he went back for x-rays and CAT scans before heading home to await the results.
My mom gets a phone call from the doctor. "We're sorry to inform you, but your son has a broken neck. He has actually a C6 compression fracture. So you're gonna have to rush him down to Children's Hospital." And went to the hospital and sat there for an hour and a half, just kind of in the emergency room, waiting to be seen. And then I had a towel wrapped around my neck, so I'm in the waiting room just looking goofy, trying to be seen by somebody. And finally I go back and they run the tests and stuff like that, and I was in the hospital till 5 a.m. and it was just not a fun experience.
The doctors quickly went to work to ensure Harrison didn't have any further damage to his spinal cord, and was told he would have to be braced for a few months and would have to step away from football for a year in order to heal. Still determined to play football, Harrison came to camp in the fall of 2017 with the hopes of working his way back from injury. But the hardest part wasn't the physical recovery, it was the mental side.
And then, as the season went on, we weren't doing too hot. I found myself getting a little sad, a little bit depressed kind of in my time. But, I really tried to keep myself busy and try to stay optimistic. I would be close with my mom and my dad, talking with them about my experiences. And then I really grew close to Wesley, my freshman roommate, that fall semester. He was doing great things. I was trying to be extremely supportive of him. And, he tried to make sure he was supportive of me as well. And just making sure hey, your time is gonna come. Stay hungry, stay driven. Don't stop working because your time will come.
Even after working back to football shape, with the team struggling, he wasn't sure Davidson was still the place for him. It took an open and honest conversation with new head coach Scott Abel and defensive coordinator John Berlin to convince him the new era had a place for the Cincy kid.
So we asked him, hey, this is a new era. Let's give this an opportunity. Let's give this a shot. At the end of your first year with us, if you still feel the same way, then let's revisit this. And thank goodness he did that, right? Thank goodness he trusted us from that conversation and from day one, because he's just become such an integral part of our defense, but more importantly, part of our team. He's a great football player, but he's a better person, he's a better man, and what a great representative he is of our program.
In his first year back at linebacker during the 2018 season, Harrison was relieved. He was a rotating starter and an integral part of the defense, a role he thrived in. But after a second spring practice season, a wrench was thrown his way again.
When the offseason hit, we really had to peel back the layers defensively, and how could we get better? We knew we needed to get more pressure on the quarterback. We knew we had to get more speed on the field overall, and moving Harrison to that edge, it's a rush backer / defensive end position, was really the start of all that. And we've had a track record, Coach Berlin and I, in the past of moving guys and being able to show their successes. And so we talked to him about that, right? And we talked about what that looks like. And he trusted us and jumped all on board.
I found myself comfortable with the position, but I don't know about the college level. So like being an all-time defensive end, like I'm only 6 foot, 215, 220. I'm not really a defensive end like build. I don't have that much mass, and I'm gonna be going up against guys who are 300 pounds and have been recruited for O-line. So that was something that I had to take into consideration. But the coaches, they said, Coach Jackson specifically said, we see you as being a first-team all-conference defensive end. We have very good confidence in you and your abilities. Like, we know you can run well, and we know you're extremely physical. You may be undersized, but we know you make up with that with your hustle.
As Harrison wraps up his first season on the defensive line, you wouldn't be able to tell he is playing out of his recruited position. The Wildcats rank at the top of numerous Pioneer Football League categories and are among one of the nation's best defensive squads. For Harrison, his journey from that cold Cincinnati night back to the field has been anything but easy. But if his determination is any indication of what we're getting in our Davidson Scholar athletes, the program will be in good hands for years to come.